This is the need to is getting
Right.
things going.
Yeah. Any people we get.
That is
Very good. Fresh Iowa version.
sir. Whole trash. Just check out.
Something about
Yeah.
and because obligation. There's
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You coming?
what's up? I'd still
A complaint. I think you may have to see either air see what we. I'm sure there's somewhere. Yeah, I'll get to.
okay.
Oh, you're there. Are you? You and I. Do you? What's?
I'm looking.
Now, if you want to.
Demanded Bitcoin in the way that we had seen with the ETFs. Demanded Bitcoin in the way that we had seen with the ETFs. We went in 2024 into that year with 0 ETFs.
Right.
The first 2 weeks of that year, we saw the launch of 12 US spot ETFs, and then suddenly more around the world. $0 to, I think, 41 billion of inflows in the first year of trading. And now this year, we have almost surpassed that number collectively.
Yeah.
That's a lot of demand.
Yeah.
And lastly, I'll just say there's a lot of institutions out there or individuals, respectfully, that may not have the technical knowledge or education to get into digital assets the way we all have been lucky enough to. ETFs and treasury companies have given them a new opportunity to either diversify or get that exposure. And so all the way back to the original question, I think DATCOs, treasury companies, whatever we are going to call them going forward, treasury cos, I think those have a very substantial place in this industry because they are the only connection we're going to have right now that brings in the trillions of dollars. We go from 4 to 10 to 20 trillion as market cap. It's going to come from institutions. And again, some will unlock and move into on-chain activity, as we've already saw with Ethereum and the Solana treasury companies that have come to rise. So with Bitcoin, let's take a minute. There's more limitations when it comes to moving BTC, as there may or not be in Ethereum and Solana. But I can tell you right now, I've been lucky enough to talk to some of those here in Singapore, along with in Korea. And there is an appetite for those treasury companies to start moving into staking or yielding protocols, whether that be SBTC or Babylon or Core and many others out there that are doing great work. There is that desire. Now that we've gotten through phase one, they've launched, we've got investments, we've got billions of dollars that fresh capital come in. We're now going to start to see that unlock.
So you are optimistic that our new Suitcoin overlords are not gonna. They're gonna be more. They're gonna be more working with ecosystems within like Bitcoin DeFi. Is what I think.
Eventually, yes. I think right now, again, we just saw the launch of all of this.
Yeah.
This industry moves in microseconds, not in days, right? So we've just seen the beginning of this. And from there, we are going to start to see some move. We are going to also see some M&A across those treasury companies. We already have. Last week, I think we saw a few different acquisitions across Bitcoin, and we may see a few more. But when we go into the next unlock of the phase of treasury companies, we're going to see more getting into the infrastructure, running miners, running infrastructure, making investments back into the companies or the protocols that are then powering their next unlock of entering into yield to generation.
So basically taking a more active role.
Yeah. I think because we see a lot of this in a lot of the analysis around treasury companies is that they're not just a treasury company. They're also asset managers. Their job is to make additional capital gains on the assets that they hold, maintain and grow.
Right.
So right now, phase one, accumulate. Phase two, start to actually be active and productive with those assets to grow the assets that you're managing in a very responsible and risk-averse or risk-tolerant way. Because lastly, I'll just say is on the DeFi side, we've got low, medium, and high. When it comes to capital markets, there's still a lot of education we as an industry need to do, not just to institutions, but to retail. Everyday traders that enter into traditional markets are looking for that education on not just buying an asset, but what does it mean to stake an asset? What does it mean to yield an asset? What does it mean to enter into a protocol or an application? That's a lot of education we still need to do. And together, we're all working on it, but it's going to take a bit of time.
Okay, we're basically out of time, but I'll give you one last question.
Sure.
This is a softball. What is SBTC? You've mentioned it a bunch of times. Tell me about it.
Yes. So SBTC is our minted or tokenized Bitcoin asset.
Okay.
So S is in stacks, SBTC.
I gathered that much.
There you go.
What is it?
Exactly. So it's a tokenized version of Bitcoin. It allows anybody to mint a representation of their Bitcoin on the L1 into the stacks layer, which means your Bitcoin stays and you are able to take this representation into the application layer, whether that's in DeFi, that's in staking, that's holding it and actually yielding off of it, or that's entering into collateral, loans, and other future markets as well. And what's very unique about SBTC from the design perspective, just like our consensus at Stacks, you stake STX, you yield BTC in return, not our native asset. With SBTC, we took a similar approach. We set up an incentive program that allows for anyone who holds and mints SBTC, sits in your wallet, you're able to earn an APY on that Bitcoin back in SBTC, which is one-to-one redeemable at any time for Bitcoin. And we just announced a big partnership coming into KBW, and we'll have a few more this week here at Token, of the first exchange to list that asset. So we launched it last year, you held it, you minted with it, you earned APY back in Bitcoin. The free cash flow model for more Bitcoin. You entered into the DeFi application layer with so many different protocols, Zest, Stacking DAO for Medica on the stablecoin side, Valor on the perps, BitFlow on the DEX, and many others. Now, we've unlocked it. It was a capped program at 5,000. We've now unlocked it. Anybody can participate. You can bring Bitcoin. You can mint SBTC, one click. You then do another click, opt into rewards, and you start earning more Bitcoin for your Bitcoin. And then you can go into the application layer as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much, Kyle. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And have a good conference.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. That was Kyle Ellicott. Up next, we have, I think it's Graham with a fascinating interview, Florian Kohler. Please stay tuned for that. I know I'm personally going to watch that coming up soon.
Stable, but exposed. If your dollar token can be tracked, frozen, or flagged, it's not freedom. Freedom Dollar is the first uncensorable stablecoin, private by design, built on Xano. Unlike Tether or USDC, Freedom Dollar hides your balance, your activity, and your identity. No tracking, no freezing, no middlemen. Hold, send, and swapped Freedom Dollar privately, right inside the Bitcoin.com wallet. And now you can even spend it worldwide. Privacy isn't a luxury, it's a right. Freedom Dollar is your escape from surveillance finance.
All right. Thank you very much for doing this again, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Armani Ferrante. Is that right? Ferrante?
Perfect.
Okay. Sorry about that.
You give it a little Italian flair if you want to roll the tongue a bit.
That's nice. And you are the co-founder and CEO of Backpack. Am I still on good? Okay.
That's accurate.
That's accurate. So we had an interview earlier this year. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it was great hearing about your history and everything like that. Those of you who haven't seen it, please watch it. We went into a lot of details about how you got started, what you were doing with Ethereum, and then moving into Solana. So we don't want to retread any of that. However, I do want to start with a kind of a more, philosophical question, which is, while preparing for this interview, I was thinking a lot about what a backpack means. It helps that I was traveling as well and how important it is. I think that's probably true for most people in the modern world. Like the backpack is kind of this singular item that does so much. And I was just wondering, obviously your company's name Backpack, and I think it's a marvelous name. You must have been thinking about this intentionality well before for this, but what does like a backpack mean to you? Why did you choose that name?
So the first product that we built was a self-custodial wallet. The wallet is a simple metaphor, an accurate metaphor for a lot of what the first generation of key management software did in crypto. You can self-custody Bitcoin. You had the introduction of hardware wallets. But slowly over time, crypto became much more rich. New protocols were introduced, whether they were new L1s like Ethereum, new asset classes like NFTs, or burgeoning on-chain, economies in the whole rich world of decentralized finance. And very quickly, the wallet became much more than just a place to hold tokens. It became a place to access new worlds, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or one of the many new next generation blockchain ecosystems that are emerging all around the world. And so when we started the company and we decided to build what became the Backpack wallet, we felt that the concept of a wallet was too restrictive. It was too limiting. And, the backpack is such a elegant metaphor to describe something that's much more versatile, something that's much more adventurous, something that you can take, whether it's, a business trip to Korea, or whether you're climbing Mount Fuji here in Tokyo, or whether you're just going to school or going to university and studying to get a degree. No matter what it is, no matter where you're going, no matter who you are, the backpack is this, fundamental tool to take with you to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. And it just felt like an appropriate evolution from not just a wallet, but something that became so much more. And if you layer on top of this one's perpetual love for MMORPGs and things like World of Warcraft and RuneScape,
Of course.
you very quickly end up at
Right.
inventory views, and the name backpack very quickly becomes more and more appropriate for one's, I guess, view of the world. So in any case, there's a bunch of ways that you can slice it, but I do think it is a beautiful metaphor that articulates a lot of what the product is trying to achieve.
And it seems to me like you basically had in your mind at least a kind of roadmap of where you wanted the product to go, starting with something I would say kind of simple, like a crypto wallet, traditional crypto wallet, but knowing that it was going to go to encompass a lot more. Is that right?
That's certainly right. I mean, I think we started with this ambition to reimagine what the next evolution of wallets will look like. Obviously, fast forwarding from early 22 when we started the wallet to the end of 22 when FTX collapsed, the world changed pretty significantly. The industry changed, our personal lives changed quite significantly. The business changed. We're kind of, I guess, notorious for having lost the majority of our working capital on that exchange. And although we knew it would be much more than just a wallet, we never anticipated from the beginning that we would venture into the exchange landscape.
Oh, really? That was going to be my next question.
And that really was a matter of circumstance. With the collapse of FTX, it really felt at the time that it was really an indictment of not necessarily the perils of crypto, but it was an example of everything that is wrong with traditional financial systems, everything that crypto is originally meant to address, whether it's the 2008 financial crisis, the 1930s, or anything in between. There's numerous examples of this.
Yeah.
And so we felt like, when FTX collapsed, there was really just a duty for somebody to come in and reimagine how these systems are built, to take everything that makes crypto and DeFi and public blockchain so special, right? Things like, computational integrity, things like verifiability, things like being able to prove or attest to truth in a way where you don't have to trust the operators or the management team. You can simply utilize the mathematics to prove whatever it is that you want to prove, and to apply those concepts to the context of a traditional financial institution.
Yeah.
And I think this concept, is something that crypto native people have understood for, I guess, the past, decade. But it's something that I think we've yet to really see in traditional finance. And, especially as we've seen this cycle, as, more and more of the traditional institutions get kind of attracted and interested in crypto, I think what we'll see is not only crypto assets become ubiquitous and permeate finance and we'll see market expansion on that dimension, but I also think that we'll see the technology permeate kind of traditional finance as well, so that we can solve a lot of these issues to not only make a new asset class, but to also make more robust, financial primitives to just genuinely improve on these problems that have plagued finance more broadly for over 100 years.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I guess I'm slightly more inclined to pessimism, because I think there's a push and pull where crypto people, they start with that ethos of decentralization, and then they just get pulled over a little bit more because of the attractiveness of maybe the traditional system. And then there's reminders like the FTX collapse, and perhaps this cycle there will be a reminder.
further down the road. Hopefully not. But speaking of kind of the perils of traditional finance and how crypto can potentially improve upon them, you guys on your centralized product recently rolled out, or since we last talked, you rolled out proof of reserves, right?
That's correct.
Can you please describe what this is and how you've implemented it? Maybe how it's different than other so-called proof of reserves?
Yeah, that's a great question. So traditionally, companies or financial institutions would attest to things like financial statements, once a year, once a quarter. Maybe you have some crypto companies doing it, maybe as good as once a month. We felt like one of the really valuable aspects of crypto systems or blockchains in particular is, the concept of computational integrity, right? You can attest to a ledger and you can prove that that ledger is correct. And so, when we set out to build the exchange, what we did was we looked at kind of, how do we actually rebuild one of these exchanges from scratch with this kind of real-time state integrity guarantee in mind.
Oh, really? From the beginning?
From the beginning.
Cool.
And so the way the exchange is built looks a lot like a blockchain. It kind of looks like a blockchain. It quacks like a blockchain. For all intents and purposes, it's a blockchain. Every order placement, every order cancel, every liquidation, every deposit, every withdrawal, it's signed with an ED25519 key pair. It's ordered in a global linear log of authenticated transactions, and it's deterministically replayed from the beginning of time up until today through a distributed set of validator clients.
Very cool.
To deterministically give you the state of the ledger at any given point in time. So for any kind of computer scientists out there, it kind of looks and feels a lot like a blockchain. It is a blockchain for all intents and purposes. And this was extremely important so that we could have really strong guarantees over every aspect of the system at any given time, so that we can not only have, privacy preserving, computational integrity guarantees amongst a permission validator set, but to also be able to publicly attest to the ledger and anchor it by, a public blockchain. And so at the end of each day, what we do is we package up the ledger, we create a zero knowledge proof, we make it public for the world to see, and we have namely an external kind of auditor, which everybody kind of knows and respects in the name of AuditorSec, that takes that zero knowledge proof, checks it, and kind of verifies it for the entire world. Now, all the code's open source, it's public, you can verify it yourself. People just tend to not want to go run a bunch of cryptography on their own machine. But nevertheless, we do this not once a year, not once a quarter, not once a month. We do it every single day. And we have this state integrity guarantee all day, every day in real time with every single transaction. So from the beginning of time up until the present, the state of the ledger is, proven. And every single day that ledger is anchored to every public blockchain that we support on the exchange. And so not only do you have this really powerful proof over the state of the world, but you also have distributed control over the system itself, where namely every deposit, every withdrawal goes through not only a validator client, which is distributed across multiple machines, but also a multi-party computation for all assets that are being moved in and out of the system. And so today we run all of those validators ourselves. It's a private permission blockchain, but it's a very small step to take this architecture and give you a node, me a node, and somebody else another node, and that starts looking like a permissioned blockchain or a decentralized exchange by some definition of the word decentralized. So, I think I would like to say we're not a centralized exchange. A centralized exchange does, I think, a disservice to all the hard work that we put in to genuinely build trust minimization into, a regulated exchange product. But it's also not appropriate to call us a decentralized exchange either, because it also does a disservice for the folks that are genuinely censorship resistant, have global distribution, and are not simply co-located in a single data center. We are somewhere in the middle where the whole system is verifiable. It is indeed trust minimized, but it lacks, I would say censorship resistance, because that's not a design constraint that we're opting to solve for. And so it's an interesting point in the design space with an interesting set of trade-offs. But I think that's what makes the product unique.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, I think as things like Hyperliquid have shown, this kind of what's it called? It's this spectrum from centralized to decentralized is probably going to get filled up with products depending on where you want them along the way, and you can move up and down depending where you are in that space. I just have a couple questions about this. So it's open source means someone could take the kind of the setup that you've made and adopt it to their own?
The zero knowledge proofs are open source. So you can take the proof that we publish every day,
right,
and you can verify it yourself in a way that's uncorruptible.
Awesome. And I was just wondering, so like, for example, how would it, I'm not technically minded, but like, if let's say, God forbid, someone within your organization were to like embezzle money, something like that, how would that show up as like an invalid transaction? It just wouldn't, the balances wouldn't match, basically?
Yeah, it's a great question. So basically there's really three things that are proven with the zero knowledge proof. The first is simply that all of the balances that are sitting in all the wallets on every chain. So we have a page, backpack.exchange/reserves that you can go to, and you can see every single wallet and the actual breakdown of what assets are in each wallet.
Cool.
And so the first proof is that all of the cumulative sum of all of the tokens and all the wallets match the ledger that we publish. But that alone is not enough. There's a second proof that proves non-negativity, that there is no negative balances as part of that ledger. Because if there was negative balances, then you would be able to have
that's where it would show up.
And then there's a third proof, which is an account-specific inclusion proof, where you yourself can go in, you have private access to your own account, like your own bank account or your own exchange account, and you can prove via a Merkle inclusion proof that your kind of account balances are indeed included in the attestation. And so what this like distributed proof kind of relies on is everybody in the world does their own proof, checks their own branch, and if they detect any malfeasance, then they raise their hand and scream from the rooftops and say, hey, there's an issue here. And so all of those things come together to basically tell you that my balances are indeed here in these wallets as of this snapshot in time. And I can guarantee this by virtue of the zero knowledge proof. And so to the extent that there's any type of embezzlement or malfeasance of any sort, you would detect it by virtue of your money not being there.
Right. Yeah. And then you would have the proof to show that it indeed isn't there and that something's going wrong.
That's right. Yeah. And you combine this with, so there's two types of proofs. There's the proof that here's the ledger does match the wallets on chain. That's an extremely important proof. But there's a second proof that's extremely important, which is the state integrity proof, where one ought to also verify with source code that they can see, whether you have access to the source code or some, trusted third party, like a security auditor has access to the source code, that the source code doesn't have any mischief in it,
right,
like a backdoor, and that code indeed results in this ledger. And so you kind of need to do kind of both steps from the beginning of time up until today, matching kind of the chain. And so it's an end-to-end check in order to really thoroughly, verify what you want to, achieve.
Very, very cool. And basically, going back, I'm going to try to answer the second part of the question I asked, which is how is this different from a lot of the other proof systems I find? I feel like the biggest difference from what you've just told me is that most of the other proof systems that I know about, you still kind of have to take it on faith that their proof of reserves is real. This seems a little more rigorous, a little more deterministic, I would say.
I mean, it's hard to, I guess, answer that without knowing what specific proof systems you're referring to.
Other exchanges,
I see.
they say we have proof of reserves, and I haven't looked at all of them, but the ones that I've looked at, there still seems to be like you have to trust that
I see. I see.
a third party is saying we have these reserves.
I see. I see.
But and that
Yeah, I can't speak for kind of
I'm not asking you to.
the other exchanges. I do think that we are probably the only, I guess, traditionally centralized exchange that has this state integrity kind of guarantee.
Yeah.
As far as
I know.
like, a blockchain type platform that the exchange is built on.
Yeah, as far as I know too. But I don't want you to get into any fights with anybody. So the other big thing that has changed since we last talked was perpetuals. Most recently, you launched perpetuals in Europe. That was a recent thing, pretty recent, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I'm assuming that this has to be MiCA compliant to some degree.
Yeah. So MiCA is
MiCA.
a different kind of regulatory regime to MiFID, which is what we
Okay.
serve derivatives under. It's all kind of, I guess, tangentially related, but they are different regimes.
Okay, could you educate me on what the difference is?
Yes.
MiCA is more on what, like stable coins, or just
Yes,
what a
spot-
digital asset is?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Maybe more traditionally like spot markets
I see.
and crypto more tangibly versus derivatives are contracts, things like perpetual futures that are synthetic representations of the underlying assets that they're trading. So it is a different product.
Are they sister organizations, or are they all under one roof? MiCA and MiFA?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if sister is the right metaphor, but it's directionally correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to ask is like, was it about the same level of complexity, difficulty, easiness to get perpetuals working as compliant spot?
I don't know if I would say anything is necessarily more difficult than the other. It's certainly more rare.
Okay.
So currently, there's basically 2 exchanges in the world, as far as I'm aware, that have the ability to offer compliant, regulated perpetual futures in the EU. One is Kraken, and 2 is Backpack. I think a lot of exchanges have been looking at this and are probably going through the process. But as far as I'm aware, we're the only 2 exchanges currently live right now.
And to me, that would indicate that it's probably not very easy or somewhat difficult.
There's certainly nothing easy about building a regulated financial product. That's certainly true.
Does this mean that there are kind of like gray, unregulated perpetual offerings in Europe? Or basically like, oh, if you use this, it's your own kind of thing?
I mean, yes and no. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
I think there's certainly just generally a lot of gray stuff in the world.
Yeah.
It would be kind of preposterous to think that there wasn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing like in particular that comes to my mind.
Okay.
But I think the world's kind of wrapping its head around an ever kind of evolving regulatory regime in all the various parts of the world, which are all quite different and
Yeah.
heterogeneous.
I mean, the U.S. has done a pretty good job of twisting arms all around the world to get pretty much every major exchange to not let U.S. users use them unless they're regulated. But so I was just wondering if Europe is also like going after like international exchanges and telling them to not allow European people onto their exchange if they don't, if they're unregulated. But yeah, I'm not sure. So you have perpetuals in Europe. Do you also have them in Japan?
Currently, no, we don't. Yeah.
So in Europe and anywhere else?
Europe is our main kind of regulated derivatives product. I think Japan, we moved here over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not a very common thing for a kid that's born and raised in California to
Yeah.
pick up their kind of company and family and move over to this part of the world. But nevertheless, it's a pretty kind of, I mean, other than Tokyo just being a beautiful place and a super incredible place to live, as you know.
18 years.
Yeah, it's also just a really kind of exciting place to be for crypto, I think, over the next couple of years. We're seeing certainly a resurgence of just interest and activity, and it really feels like the country is about to go through a very U.S. Type moment with respect to crypto, where I mean you have like the prime minister now going to crypto conferences and articulating a lot of positive things about crypto. You have maybe this anticipation of taxes going down from 55 to 20% as crypto gets reclassified from a currency into a new regime. And so I think Japan will be an exciting place. And so it's certainly something that we've been working on for the past 2 years at this point. And so we're not there yet, but it's really after Europe, the place that we have our sights on with respect to getting a regulated product up and running.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with Haseeb Quresh at WebEx and then at Korea, and he had this amazing post after WebEx saying that he thought Japan was a quote unquote sleeping giant for crypto.
I mean, a lot of people forget that Japan was responsible for maybe on the order of over 50% of Bitcoin trading volume going back to 2017. Binance famously was, I guess, somewhat originated in Tokyo, right? There is a very large crypto native population here in one of the largest, economies in the world. And I mean, going back to like the Mt. Gox days, right?
Yeah.
When, the hacks happened and kind of regulation clamped down and folks left, and I'm quite optimistic that we'll see that return.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a great place to be. And I think the post you're referring to really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. I'm very excited for Japan to kind of take its place. And I mean, I think Hong Kong is kind of done, having been folded back into China. And so we've seen like an exodus out of there. So I think Japan can kind of make up a lot of lost ground. And I remember when all those crypto companies started to leave en masse when the tax laws became so onerous. So hopefully we'll see big changes. Right. So we are in this beautiful location here before a dinner or an event that you are co-hosting with 00. What's this event about? Why are you doing it?
I mean, I think generally it's fair to describe our role as ultimately support for great crypto projects, whether it's the wallets or the exchange. Our business ultimately relies on finding, supporting, and elevating the best projects that we can work with, built by the best people with the highest integrity, and that we think our users will love to support themselves. And I think 00 certainly is one of the projects that exemplifies that, where they are going after, I would argue, one of the hardest and most ambitious technical challenges in the crypto space today.
It's a physical world.
There's a lot of different folks that work at very different levels of the stack. And going down to the lowest level, down to the network infrastructure, is as ambitious, as challenging, and as exciting as it gets. To take the position that the internet is not enough and that the internet is too slow, and to reimagine how you can build crypto networks on a new network layer is, in my view, as exciting as it gets as an engineer. And so really kind of this event is just about kind of doing our best to support 00 in the region of Japan, and whether it's the wallet, the exchange, or our community more broadly. And so we just love to kind of work with the best projects and to help in whatever small way we can. And this is just one kind of example of that support.
Very, very cool. Does I spoke with someone from Double Zero. I'm blanking, and terrible. But they were talking about some of the infrastructure kind of test nets they were doing in Europe. I don't think I asked at the time, but are there any lines in Japan at all?
Actually, that's a great question. I have no idea.
Okay, yeah, because I would I would love to know.
Yeah. It would make sense given, at least from the perspective of an exchange, how many, like Tokyo is really the epicenter of crypto exchanges. That's where in AWS Tokyo is kind of where everybody lives. So that's where all the infrastructure lives. So I would imagine so, but that's a question for their team.
Yeah. We could ask that after this. And I was just a few more questions. First, so Double Zero would broadly be considered kind of a Solana, connected to Solana in some ways, although they're not officially at all. And when I spoke with them, they were like, "Yeah, we're looking at AI companies in Europe, or even gaming companies." So, but it does seem like it's kind of comes out of Solana and this IDRL. I'm getting that right. Kind of ethos. Is Backpack still mostly like kind of focused on Solana?
I mean, I think you could categorize it in a very similar way that you would Double Zero, in the sense that there's certainly a lot of Solana heritage. Solana,
That's a better way of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, Solana is just one of the most exciting, continues to be one of the most exciting projects in all crypto, in my view. But Backpack is on every blockchain you can imagine, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Optimism, Arbitrum, Base, Plasma, you name it. We're supporting it. And that's part of what makes a great wallet and exchange product. But yeah, Solana is always kind of like a second home, and continues to be, I guess, one of the projects I'm consistently most excited about.
Cool. What about Solana DATs? How do you feel about those? Kind of capturing the imagination right now. Mr. Kyle Samani is kind of drawing a lot of attention after Tom Lee and Michael Saylor had their turn. I would love to hear your views on DATs in general, and maybe Solana DATs in particular.
I mean, Kyle kind of speaks for himself, right? He's a force of nature.
He is.
I think it's very clear that there's a huge amount of appetite from traditional kind of liquidity pools to get more exposure to crypto, and to the extent that digital asset treasuries are the optimal vehicle as it currently exists to express that desire for more crypto exposure, then so be it. I mean, I think what he's doing with Forward Industries is quite compelling in the sense that they will probably be the first, as far as I'm aware, to actually not only take in the crypto, but also to actually go productively utilize it in the burgeoning crypto economy or market structure that's growing on Solana. And so I think the hypothesis or the thesis there is that will have a large reflexive effect. And I don't think we fully appreciate or understand the second order effects that will have. When you get more, the largest pools of capital in the world into the DAT, and then you take the capital from the DAT and then you put it into DeFi, and what flywheel that creates is, I think, pretty interesting. And so I think the biggest thing that will do is, I think, not only have a lot of like second order effects on, I guess you could speculate on price and inflows, but also just like education from that part of the world. And I think that does a lot to legitimize everything that's happening in DeFi today. And that, I think, is the big step forward. So I'm obviously super excited about, everything that Kyle's doing with, is that. And I think we'll see more here in Japan, actually, as well.
I was going to ask that. I mean, we have Bitcoin DATs, but what about Ethereum, Solana, other digital assets? Is there...
I mean, the short answer is yes. It's not my place to discuss it. I'll let those folks kind of have their moment, but I think we'll see more of it for sure.
Oh, nice. All right, last question. You can choose to not answer or answer, but I would say last week, leading up about a month, but definitely last week, there was a kind of a crescendo of Ethereum Solana drama about the exit queue. the Ethereum execute, which is like 45 days right now. And Ethereum aligned people and Solana aligned people were kind of going at each other on crypto Twitter, which was great. I think everyone wins in that case because you get to hear amazing arguments and some quite funny quips and whatnot. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on this broadly, or I could poke you on some particulars.
I wouldn't say I have any particularly intelligent comments on the execute. I mean, everybody loves a good crypto Twitter fight. Solana and Ethereum are just, the best smart contract networks in the business. And so I agree. It's always good to see both ecosystems go at it, but it's always good to have a lively discourse, but I have nothing intelligent to say on the execute.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. We're done.
And we're back. We're here with Florian Kohler, who is co-owner of ice hockey club Kur,
Right.
which is a Swiss ice hockey club. And you're also a serial entrepreneur, I would describe you, and a Bitcoiner.
I am a Bitcoiner. That's true. Not a die-hard Bitcoiner though. So I do research and work, let's say, in the whole crypto world, but Bitcoin first.
Okay.
That's basically my motto.
So tell us about ice hockey club Kur, and what it has to do with Bitcoin. I saw you showed me a picture earlier of a giant Bitcoin logo on the rink.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah, that's it's a good question, and it's basically a question that everyone asks when we tell them that our professional sports team is powered by Bitcoin. Everyone says, "Yeah, what does it have to do with Bitcoin?" The point is that we were able to take over this sports club about 2 years ago. Well, they're a traditional team, has been there for many, many years. But they had an era where they went down, they went broke, 16 years of amateur sports. And then they suddenly were on the moment to become a professional team again. And that's where we had the ability, by the way, together with two of the best ice hockey players in the world, two Swiss players, one in the NHL and one plays in the Swiss League. Might have heard Nino Niederreiter, he's with the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
He's a co-owner. And the other guy is the goaltender of the Swiss national team, Leo Giannoni. He plays in Switzerland, but he was awarded best player at the World Championship just a couple of months ago. So they're co-owners as well. We were able to take over this club with a group of other people. And the problem that you have in team sports in Switzerland, in Europe in general, even the big soccer teams, basically you lose money in a sports club. Even if you have a large arena, players are expensive. Everything is expensive. If your team does not play good, which always happens in sport, even if you have the best team, you lose now and then. The audience gets smaller, you earn less money. So we were thinking of how can we solve that? Because we really want to demonstrate that professional team sport should be financeable and should even bring you some revenue. And since I have been in the crypto Bitcoin world for quite many years, it was clear to me that we had to say that we have to put Bitcoin at the center stage of the club in many ways. And that's why we call ourselves now Powered by Bitcoin. But of course, we then started out first with a message. That's why you see the huge Bitcoin logo. That's the center stage of of the arena under the ice because we had to tell people first, hey, what is Bitcoin? Still not that many people know about that. And we still have to do more education in the sports world. And then once we had spread the message or started to spread the message, we were able to tell everyone why Bitcoin. Well, because if we start to invest on the one hand into Bitcoin, even if it's just stacking sats now, it's going to help us in the future. So that's the first pillar of our belief. Just every dollar that we can spare, let's invest it into Bitcoin
Okay,
for the
so
future.
in some ways, you're a Bitcoin treasury company.
We may get there later on. We're not there yet because we're still small. We're a startup, a sports startup, and we're growing. For now, it's spreading the message that Bitcoin can even help a sports team, can be useful for a sports team if you just start with stacking sats, stack it. But then, of course, we're also trying to do a lot of easy topics around Bitcoin. So we established Bitcoin payments in the arena, in the restaurants. Sounds easy. It's then, once you do it, complicated because you have to convince people to start paying with Bitcoin. You have to do all the regulatory stuff in Switzerland, which is possible. But that's also something. So Bitcoin payments is the next step.
Can we just double click on that one? So, Bitcoin payments, peer-to-peer payments, they're slow. So are you using Lightning or something?
It's on the Lightning Network, and there's a third-party provider, and we're setting that up. Otherwise, it wouldn't work in a restaurant or in a bar. In the arenas, there's restaurants, but it has to go quick. Or in a merch shop, it needs to go quick. Yeah, it's of course not on Lightning.
Okay, so could you go into how much adoption are you seeing there with the fans?
Not yet much. That's why we started out with the message first, and this is our second season. We just started out with our second season in the professional league now. I guess it's going to take at least 2 more seasons until we have traction there. But we have to do all those things to get people to a point where they understand, oh, this is real. This is not just, they say they use Bitcoin, they have Bitcoin. We have to start doing things. So payment is one thing. Another thing is that we just set up Bitcoin ATMs in the arena. Even though a lot of people may think, well, what does it help? It's the message again. And there are people amongst the fans, maybe elderly people also, they will not be able to use a wallet, cold or hot wallet. But with an ATM, at least they can put in 100 Swiss francs. So they get out this card and this paper, and they can try and find a way to own this Bitcoin. So stuff like that. It's a lot of, even if they may seem not stupid, but not the best real world adoptions, we try to do anything that we can around Bitcoin.
Okay, and what would you say is the reception of the fans so far? Have you gotten much feedback, positive or negative, about this initiative?
It's a good question. I have to be honest. When we made our first tweet, just right before we started into our first season of the professional league, we showed this picture of the huge Bitcoin sign under the ice. We had two kind of reactions. We immediately got adapted or retweeted in the Bitcoin community. So like platforms like yours and others, retweets, 100,000 of views and responses. Nice reception there. But now this is not our audience in the city. So the fans, let me take some water. Yeah. The fans, they had a lot of questions, and they obviously still have. In the beginning, they thought it was just a huge marketing gag. And many of them thought, so why are you jumping on a railroad, which is basically a scam railroad? We're still there. It's not that everyone believes in Bitcoin and crypto.
Yeah.
A lot of reactions as well. Now in the second season, it's much better. Now we're getting questions like, okay, can you show us what you do? Can you teach us on how we can buy Bitcoin? Are there easier ways of buying Bitcoins nowadays? Can I buy Bitcoin for $50? Topics like that. So it just needs time.
Okay. So you mentioned that when you first started this initiative, you got a lot of support from the Bitcoin community. People reposting about so basically marketing from the Bitcoin community, right?
Yeah.
Have you actually had any diehard Bitcoiners or Bitcoin enthusiasts then become fans and come to the games?
Well, there's certain areas in Switzerland where crypto has more adoption than in others. So, for example, in the bigger cities like Zurich, you would have more people close to crypto and Bitcoin. And this club is in the heart of the Grisons Mountains, and Chur is basically the capital of the Grisons. What we found out, there are not so many Bitcoiners there. But I would say, sorry, I don't know why, probably too dry.
No problem.
I'd say 10 to 15 people more attending regularly our games that contacted me, asked me, can we attend, can we speak about Bitcoin? So slowly but steadily, it's going to grow. But it's not that people from abroad will come to our games.
Right.
Yeah. We're trying.
So you mentioned that you're finding ways to integrate Bitcoin into the games, right? Enabling people to pay for things with Bitcoin, having a Bitcoin ATM. How about player salaries?
Perfect question. In the first year to last season, we didn't want to do that, even though we had 2 out of the 27 players who asked for that. Can I get my salary or part of my salary in Bitcoin? We didn't want to do it because we thought we were just not there yet with the message. Now, for the next season, so not this second one, but the third one, I feel pretty positive that we're going to do it. Also, regulatory-wise, it's possible. Switzerland, and I believe that maybe 5 out of the whole team will accept part of their salary in Bitcoin, and then it will steadily grow. But we also have to educate them in the sense of that they have to be careful.
Yeah.
If they accept the Bitcoins.
Due to the volatility. Right. And I guess tax implications.
Tax-wise, we're pretty safe in Switzerland as long as we declare everything in a proper way, which we will of course teach them how to do that. But this is going to be a thing. Well, I believe in the fact that once we get more acceptance of this topic, more and more people will want to have their salary or part of their salary. Why not?
Yeah. So you mentioned that there are 2 co-owners of the team, these professional hockey players. How do they feel about this? Are they Bitcoiners as well? Are they on board with this?
They're both not Bitcoiners, but both reacted in a very positive way to the topic. So Nino, for example, playing in the NHL, there's a couple of arenas sponsored by exchanges, Bitcoin topics. So he was well aware of the fact that this is a new industry coming into the sports world. Leo, so the goaltender playing in Switzerland, on the other hand. Thank you very much. That's nice. Even over the coffee. I know he owns crypto himself, but I wouldn't call him Bitcoin. Right. So this initiative really, in the end, it came out of my world and out of my conviction that this is the way to build a sports club on the long term and to be able to manage it in a profitable way.
So I think you mentioned before that you always try to include Bitcoin. This isn't your only business. You have other businesses. You always try to find ways to include Bitcoin in your businesses and co-owned businesses.
I do.
Why is that?
Okay, on the one hand, basically for the same reason that I have just mentioned for this ice hockey club. Many businesses that you set up, just normal businesses out of the crypto world, they go through phases. You have good times, you have bad times. And I just believe in the fact that if you put part of your liquidity into Bitcoin, it will help you in bad times. So this is a thing that I try to integrate into basically any business where it's possible, where it's when it is in a jurisdiction like Switzerland, and where it's allowed, I just try to convince the ownership. That's the most important thing. And then, for example, if you accept Bitcoin payment, be it in this ISO clubs, in the restaurants of the clubs, we also do own a small hotel in Spain, for example. We accept Bitcoin payments we get on the Bitcoin map. This brings us more customers, step by step. So if you help yourselves for the future to get through bad times, but you also get a totally different audience. That's what you asked before, if there will Bitcoins come. If you go on the Bitcoin map, it helps. I am convinced of this fact.
Right. A lot of people around the world are big supporters of Bitcoin, so you tap into that community. I wonder, I'm sure you've heard of Peter McCormack and his Bitcoin his team in Bedford.
Bedford, yeah.
Yep. Is that part of the inspiration here, or do you have thoughts on that?
Yes, he indeed was. He was an inspiration. And I think that's great. They're doing different. First ones in soccer to do that. I believe we are first ones in ice hockey. I have not seen a team so far around the world having a Bitcoin sign, a clean Bitcoin sign without sponsors on the ice. It's great what they do. I support that. It's really brilliant, but he also comes from a different standpoint. He can more or less power and finance that club on his own. We cannot, and we don't want to do that with our club. So we really try to put the message, the Bitcoin message, at the center stage. By this, try and attract more businesses out of the crypto world to support us with their tech also. Not only get sponsorships, but also try and bring products and projects to us, and they can test with us because we are open for that. They are very much sponsored now by the Bitcoin world, which is wonderful. We would love to have that too. But we also try to add the aspect of, hey, come to us, work with us, try your Bitcoin topics, Bitcoin projects, crypto projects with us, and maybe we find new angles to help the sports world and the crypto.
All right, so how's the team doing?
Last season, very well. We were the newcomers in this professional league, and they ended up fifth spots on the fifth spot, which is great. Now this season we have started slow. We had 4 losses in a row, and now they have 2 wins in a row, and I think they're going to be good. It's going to be good, but it takes time. It's a very young team. We try to focus on young players that we can educate. Mainly players with a Swiss license, so we don't have to spend a whole lot of money on foreign players that cost us much more. We want to develop not only on the Bitcoin and crypto side, also on the players side. So we really want to develop growth phases of players that will help us grow to stay with the club as long as possible.
Let's look ahead, let's say 5 years in the future. What's your vision for the club? Where do you think it'll be?
So I am convinced that if we follow this path, even if there may be difficult times in crypto now and then, we just follow the path, stick to this message, keep the conviction, and can convince more people to believe in what we do. So back the sports club, a professional sports club with Bitcoin and Bitcoin topics, and you will be at a very, very, very good point in Switzerland and also in Europe. Because, we really try to do everything that we can around Bitcoin. We, for example, we produce ice. This needs a lot of energy. The production of ice produces warmth. We have also already a system where we can use this warmth, turn it into new energy, and start mining Bitcoin. Since we have an arena where they play the games and a training arena where they just training arena is 365 days ice. Doesn't really make sense in summer, but we have to produce this ice. Uses a lot of energy, generates a lot of warmth. And this we use again, turn into new energy. And there we want to start and do Bitcoin mining. Now, we have done a lot of research. We would have to go into mining pools, of course. And but we will do it. We will just try and see. Okay, if we already have this energy basically for free, if we use it for Bitcoin mining, what can it bring us as one club? If we can prove that it helps us just a little bit, we can get the whole league to do the same thing. If we get the whole league in the same pool, why can we get all Europe? Can we not get all the European leagues to do the same thing with the warrants that they can use? Turn it into energy mine Bitcoin. Topics like that.
Okay, so mining Bitcoin with the excess heat created
That's excess heat created. Yeah.
from making ice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's possibilities. We have done a lot of research. There's companies willing to do that. Now the question is going to be, how much do we have to invest? And is it going to cover the cost? Are we even going to win a little bit by that? This is still in process. But we'll do it. I'm convinced we're going to do that. And this will, if it works, I can almost guarantee you the next and the next and the next ISO pick are going to do this. Okay. Someone has to try it.
Yeah. Fascinating. All right, Florian. So any last thoughts? Actually, I'd love to get your let's just actually, before we close out, I'd love to get your thoughts on Bitcoin broadly. So why did you originally, what originally attracted you to Bitcoin?
So I come from a country, Switzerland, where banks used to play a very dominant role. I have, of course, used banks in my private life and in my business life always. But honestly, I've never really felt comfortable. And more and more in the last years, I felt less comfortable with the whole fiat and financial system, even though it's pretty stable in Switzerland still. We had big Swiss banks going bankrupt, people losing a lot of money. And then Bitcoin came around. And with me, it happened like with many other people. There was one person pretty close to me who told me, you should have a look at that. I found this somewhere in a game at that time where Bitcoin was only traded. Look at it, research it. And it took me, unfortunately, a couple of years to understand and buy my first Bitcoins. But I just believe if there is a way to go through the I'd call it financial crisis, we're pretty much all in right now with respect to the monetary system. There's only one way. And I'm convinced of that. Bitcoin, then Bitcoin can save this system or be the follower of this old system.
Okay, so Bitcoin as the life raft to help people out of the fiat debasement.
That's what I believe.
Good. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you see Bitcoin evolving. You know, people are concerned about the Bitcoin becoming too integrated into traditional finance. Do you think that's a risk, or do you think it's more like that is the pill that or like a Trojan horse into the financial system?
I do know what you mean. I'm actually interested to hear what you think, but I believe that the company Michael Saylor has built, I'm on the side of people who think this is not so much of a risk the way he has built it, and because he has been the first to do that. Now, what do I think of all the copycats coming now? This late in this cycle, if you believe in the cycle, I still do, by the way. I see some risk with all the followers because they don't have the history that MicroStrategy have. I do see some risk there. I do not really feel comfortable with that. Do I think it's cool that that banks sell ETFs now to their customers? That's okay, because those are the customers who would not be able or would not be willing to go down the rabbit hole and find out how can I buy Bitcoin in another way. So let them just buy it via an ETF.
More options.
It's more options for that. So I do not see that as a risk. But I still believe in the fact that if you buy you buy Bitcoin via an ETF via your bank, it's because your bank advisor or your bank private banker tells you, add Bitcoin to your portfolio, 2%.
Yeah.
Now, what do the private bankers do? Once Bitcoin goes higher and it goes above the 2% of the portfolio, they start
rebalance.
They rebalance and sell it. So this part is not really what I'm convinced of.
Yeah.
I think if you can, you should not sell your Bitcoin. This part I don't like, but that's what, of course, what's going to happen.
Okay. All right. Last question as we close up. Care to predict what the price for this cycle will be? Where we'll top out, or maybe the timing?
The timing, I am a bit hesitant. The price, I have a conviction. I believe it's more around between 150 and 160, and not towards 500 and a million. This I do not see, based on the way I do my research. I would love it to go to 500K or a million this cycle. I do not see it. I'm a bit in a more conservative field, and I'd say between 150 and 160. Well, if it's going to be 170, it's okay. But that's where I see it for this cycle. And I believe in the fact that we do not have that many months left.
Okay. So we're late in the cycle.
I believe I'm in this on this side of the analysts. Well, no, not an analyst, but I do research.
Yeah, of course. All right. Any thing you'd like to plug here? Where should people go?
First of all, thank you very much for having me on this show. That's a huge honor, not only for me but also for the club, for this the Bitcoin-powered ice hockey club. And of course, what I would love to say here is that anyone having a project or any company working on Bitcoin with Bitcoin, they can just approach us. Come to us, text us on Twitter, either the Coor handle or my private handle, and let's see if we can cooperate and find new ways on how to integrate Bitcoin into the sports world and into businesses in general, apart from only doing payments and doing the stacking side. Yeah, let's find as many new ways as possible, and we need the industry to help us.
Okay, great. Florian Kohler, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Next up, we've got our wrap-up for the day. A full day of coverage here at Singapore Token 2049. We'll be right back with our wrap-up.
We are giving away free self-custody Bitcoin during our live conference coverage. First, download the Bitcoin.com wallet app. During our conference coverage, we're going to show you these golden tickets. From within the Bitcoin.com wallet app, use the QR code scanner to scan these golden ticket QR codes. Swipe to auto-magically send the Bitcoin to your self-custody wallet. But be ready, be fast, because anyone watching can get the Bitcoin.
When crypto leaders want reach and results, they choose Bitcoin.com. A global audience, massive reach across social, web, and mobile, engaged users who trust our brand, and campaigns that move at the speed of crypto. From press to podcasts, X to SEO, display ads to rewards integrations in the app, Bitcoin.com delivers exposure across every channel that matters. Our clients include the world's leading exchanges, wallets, and gaming platforms. When they need impact, they trust Bitcoin.com. Get your brand where it belongs, in front of millions. Partner with Bitcoin.com Media today.
Stable, but exposed. If your dollar token can be tracked, frozen, or flagged, it's not freedom. Freedom Dollar is the first uncensorable stablecoin, private by design, built on Zano. Unlike Tether or USDC, Freedom Dollar hides your balance, your activity, and your identity. No tracking, no freezing, no middlemen. Hold, send, and swap Freedom Dollar privately, right inside the Bitcoin.com wallet. And now you can even spend it worldwide. Privacy isn't a luxury, it's a right. Freedom Dollar is your escape from surveillance finance.
Until now, fiat balances only lived on centralized exchanges and fintech apps. Not anymore. Bitcoin.com Balance brings fiat balances to the decentralized world. That means you can buy and sell with ease, but you always keep complete control of your crypto. Once you've funded your Bitcoin.com balance, you can buy Bitcoin and 50 plus cryptos in seconds. No more failed transactions, lower fees, and you can sell back into your Bitcoin.com balance anytime. Need Bitcoin fast? Just tap, confirm, and boom, crypto in your wallet. No waiting, no friction. Bitcoin.com balance. The power and security of decentralization, the ease of a centralized exchange.
Did you make it, son?
Yes, I'm here. They took everything from me. My money, my passport, my phone.
Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Did you remember the 12 words?
Yes, I know the words.
Opera, fabric, terra, trash, if, void, country, engine, complex, new, fate, purpose.
In this video, we'll show you how to earn Bitcoin, currently at over 30% APY, by staking Verse tokens in the Bitcoin.com wallet app using the low-fee Polygon network. You can also stake Verse on Ethereum, but for this walkthrough, we'll focus on Polygon. To get started, you'll need some Verse tokens. This is what you'll be staking to earn Bitcoin. You can earn Verse for free in the Rewards Center or buy or swap into it directly in the app. You'll also need a small amount of Matic, also sometimes called POL, which is the gas token on the Polygon network. You'll be using Matic to cover transaction fees, which are less than 1 cent in most cases. Now that we have everything we need, it's time to stake Verse to start earning Bitcoin. From the home screen, go to Web3 Explorer, then select Earn Bitcoin on Polygon. Next, you'll need to connect your wallet. Make sure to connect your Polygon wallet that has Verse and Matic in it. Then hit the Stake Verse button, enter the amount to stake, and confirm the transactions. The first transaction approves use of Verse. The second deposits your Verse into the staking smart contract. And that's it! You're now earning Bitcoin in the form of TBTC, a decentralized, one-to-one Bitcoin-backed token. You can claim your Bitcoin rewards at any time by tapping Claim Rewards. Just like when you staked your Verse, you'll again need a little Matic to cover the fee. Your rewards come in TBTC, a decentralized version of Bitcoin that's usable in Web3 apps and faster to transact than mainnet Bitcoin. It's always backed one-to-one with real Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain, and you can swap it to mainnet Bitcoin anytime. You can unstake your Verse anytime, instantly, and without penalties. When you do, you'll get your Verse back, plus any unclaimed rewards. And that's it. Stake your Verse tokens in the Bitcoin.com wallet app to start earning Bitcoin today, fast, simple, and self-custodial. Try it now. In this video, we'll show you how to earn Bitcoin, currently at over 30% APY, by staking Verse tokens in the Bitcoin.com
And we're back here to wrap up day one of our coverage at Token 2049 Singapore. David, how you doing?
I am doing considerably better now that we're wrapping the day up. No, it's been a fun day. Really, really nice.
Yeah.
It gets easier, right?
Yeah.
This whole thing gets easier. Well, I'm still wearing my lane. How about that? How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. The last conversation I just had with the Bitcoin ice hockey team, pretty interesting. You know, like he's got this vision where they're actually trying to mine Bitcoin using the excess heat from creating ice, and he thinks like if they can actually prove that and make that work, that other teams in the league will do it. It's pretty interesting.
That is wild. Very, very wild.
All right, so let's talk about our giveaway. So as you know, we've got $2,000 of Bitcoin to give away during our live stream here today.
That's
And
right.
to qualify for that, you have to follow us on BTC, follow us on X, BTCTN, follow our sponsor Threshold Network at the T Network, repost our live stream post, and get in the comments with a question.
A good question.
Good question. So we got quite a few good comments and questions.
It's awesome.
Yeah. We're going to start off with one from Ya Aya, whose Twitter handle is YaMoKing001. And the question is, how do you balance risk and potential returns in your BTC investment portfolio? I like this question
Why?
because it's something I think about all the time. And, it's relevant to people who dabble in Bitcoin and crypto investing. How do you balance your risk, David?
Well, it also, I think, is, I would say, if you survived the 2022 crash, it's definitely something that's going to be like front of mind, scarring, right? Because even if you did all the right things and stayed in Bitcoin,
Yeah.
but you just want a little yield on it,
Yeah.
we could have gotten hosed
Yeah.
pretty hard on that. Yeah. So, I mean, the boring answer to this, the really super boring answer is just hold it in the self-custody wallet and don't do anything.
Yeah. Dollar cost average your way in, and dollar cost average your way out.
Yeah, a hardware wallet, cold storage. The more complicated answer is then, do you want a little yield off of that? Do you want to maybe get involved in the ETF/DAT space? Maybe not ETF, but the DAT space, right? So I would say that really gets a lot more complicated, because then you have to actually think about how much risk you think you're taking by, like, I don't know, buying something like Strategy, or then going further out and buying something like that lingerie fighting league that bought some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty risky.
Yeah.
So again, that's a lot more complicated. I don't mess with any of that complicated stuff. I don't have the financial acumen to like put out a risk profile for that. So I just have my Bitcoin. If I had Bitcoin, I don't have any Bitcoin.
Yeah, I do.
But if I were to have some Bitcoin, I just have it in a cold wallet, and then I don't have to think about it at all.
Right. But
how about you?
Yeah, I mean, the way I think about it is, look, investing in anything, it's a psychological game, right? So it's all your emotions take over, right? So that's why you need to have a plan, right? I'm going to, here's where I'm going to start taking profits, and you stick to that plan, and you just have and then with crypto, since the potential gains are so great, I've spoken about this before, David. I really like the advice of Raoul Pal, which is just, if you're in profit, if you've been in the market for years, you know this thing is cyclical. Just take some lifestyle chips off the table. That's enough to make you to like assuage some of those emotions a little bit, and make you feel like you've done well. And then that's just going to make it easier to not make bad decisions, like buy at the top, sell too low. Just like take some lifestyle chips off as it's going up.
I like that advice, but I don't like it for Bitcoin. And here's why. My Bitcoin holdings, if I were to have any, my Bitcoin holdings, that's more like insurance. Again, it's more like gold. And so that's where if I mess up everything else that we usually talk about, like on token narratives, like, oh, I bought Pump, or I bought Hyperliquid, whatever. And all that blows up, and everything I research and do everything, that all goes down the toilet. It's okay because I still have Bitcoin. And so that part of my portfolio, I don't want to think about, right? I don't have to think about part of my portfolio, the Bitcoin stuff.
Yeah.
The advice that you just said, I use that advice for when I buy WIF.
Yeah.
Or like Farcoin or whatever, Pump, Hyperliquid. And so that's where I spend most of my attention and brain power is on that really volatile stuff. And then I don't do anything with my Bitcoin.
So if you did have it,
if I did have any Bitcoin, which I don't.
So you're looking at your Bitcoin as or if you did have it, as a long-term sort of retirement plan.
Yeah, it's in that thing that you said, it's my insurance policy, right? And it allows me to not feel like I'm gonna miss out, or if I do like crash and burn, it doesn't make me want to like instantly get back in and like double down on my mistakes.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I personally view it. And so I think that like Arthur Hayes, I spoke with him at WebEx, and he was talking about how like the DAT game, the whole DAT game is finding the DAT that's going to be big enough to be included in an index. I don't know if I can do that. It's not my area of expertise. That's more akin to gambling for me, like throwing a dart.
You don't have any edge there.
Don't have edge. Don't know which DAT is gonna achieve that mass. So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next winner for today. We're gonna pick 2 winners today, and then we're gonna have 3 more winners tomorrow. So today's winners, you're each gonna get $250 in TBTC. The second winner for today is at Cryptia Girl, and I assume her question is, ZK proofs are so powerful, but the tech is confusing AF. What's the simplest way you'd explain what this unlocks for everyday users?
So the thing I immediately thought of when I heard this question was an interview at KBW, the Zion, that guy.
Right.
And the whole point of, and I spoke with Uma Roy, who I'm sure this question maybe came up from that conversation with Uma. The whole point of ZK, and I think to the what was his name? It's Antonio, something like that.
Can't remember.
It's a very nice gentleman. But the whole point is that for a normal retail user, everyday user, you don't care at all what ZK proofs are and the zero knowledge, how zero knowledge works. What it unlocks is things that were just not possible maybe at that price point or in that jurisdiction or something like that. So for example, Uma talked about being able to prove your identity without the exchange or the third party having to store your data that then gets leaked or hacked, right?
Yeah.
That's a big unlock for everybody. Everybody would want that, right? A normal retail user would want, like, oh, you mean when I sign up for, even like I buy a plane ticket, I don't have to like give the airline my passport info. I can just give them this thing they don't even have to know.
Yeah.
And then that's the only thing that I give them is not my passport.
Yeah. And the example that comes to mind for me is, let's say you're like trying to get into a club and you got to show your ID, right?
How old are you? Okay, sorry.
So with a zero knowledge proof version of this, right? You can show your ID without showing your ID to prove that you're old enough to get into the club without showing to the bouncer that you're like 35 years old or whatever. You should be in the club.
Is that now the minimum age of entry for a club? Yes, right. For my daughter,
so you don't have to give away all your personal details. You can prove that you are eligible for this thing without having to give away all your information.
Yeah,
that's sort of the unlock for ZK proofs.
Uma also gave another great example, which is image verification, which is absolutely coming. Anybody who's those people are very excited about image verification.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyone who's been online for the past year, whether it's on X or even like Meta, right? This kind of deluge of AI image slop and videos. It's only going to get worse, and it's only going to get harder to discern, right? ZK will give platforms the ability to credibly prove that an image is real or not.
Yeah.
Now, again, from the retail user standpoint, you don't care.
Yeah.
Right. You can just take it on faith that if Meta or X or whomever is like, oh yeah, we're very, very we're pretty certain that this is a real image shot from a real camera. That's enough. And you don't really have to care that the only way that's possible is through things like zero knowledge proofs. So, again, that's the
All right, so congratulations, Cryptia Girl, and
oh yeah, hold on a second, Graham. So I just got a DM here. So both Aya and Cryptia Girl, they didn't meet all the requirements.
What?
Yeah, we had 3 requirements, which is you have to follow us on BTCTN, you have to follow Threshold on the
T Network,
and you have to post a live stream. So
these people didn't complete all the requirements. They did ask great questions, though.
They did ask great questions, but they failed to do all 3 of them. So I don't know. What do you think? I'm inclined to. Should we choose 2 more?
I think we should give it to them, David, but on the condition that by the end of tomorrow, these people actually do fulfill all of those requirements.
Okay. That's very generous of you. Very Canadian of you. You detected that Tamuru. Okay, fine. I'd be okay with that. But one stipulation on my part is tomorrow's winners, right? We had 2 today.
Yeah.
The 3 tomorrow. We're not going to be generous.
No generosity.
No generosity tomorrow.
And also today's 2 winners, you better get in there and complete the requirements.
We'll
Or
get- yeah.
I'm afraid you're not going to get that $250.
Yeah, and we'll get we'll tag them in the comments, and to make sure that we'll say we're like, hey, you won, but you got to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's like 3 simple things, people. What were they again? I can't remember. Sorry. What was that? No, that's a joke. Follow us, BTCTN. Follow Threshold at the T Network.
The T Network.
And
repost the live stream.
Repost the live stream. That's all you have to do.
All right. David, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap up our coverage for today. We're going to be back here tomorrow with another full day. We've got great guests tomorrow. Charles Hoskinson,
Vlad Tenev
of Robinhood. It's going to be good.
Hunter Horsley of Bitwise.
Nice. All right. So very much looking forward to that. That wraps it up for today. See you guys tomorrow. We'll be back.